Tom Brady is getting absolutely blasted right now. And I'm not talking about the criticism and the whining that he's hearing from fans and the sports media for not shaking Jared Goff's hands after that loss Monday night. I don't give a damn about that. And to be honest, I really don't know why anybody else does either. That's between Tom Brady and Jared Goff. I feel like people are so soft today. Everything that someone does or doesn't do is analyzed to death under the microscope of political correctness. Who really cares if Tom Brady left the field and didn't shake Jared Goff's hands? I mean, does it really matter? I see some saying, oh, he's setting a bad example for the children. That game Monday night ended at 11:30. Your kids should be in bed. Not to mention the fact that your kids shouldn't be looking up to professional athletes anyway. The blasting and criticism I'm talking about Tom Brady receiving is once again coming from his head coach, Bruce Arians. For some reason, no one else besides me seems to have a problem with this. And if they do and they've said it on ESPN or FS1, I haven't seen it. I don't understand why. Before I get into Bruce Arians' comments, let me just get something out of the way real quick. Tom Brady is a 6-time Super Bowl champion. Tom Brady is the NFL leader in touchdown passes. Tom Brady is without a doubt the greatest quarterback to ever touch the field. There's not even a debate. In the NBA, people are constantly debating who the GOAT is, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Now, in my eyes, it's not even close. It's obviously Michael Jordan. But every year, at some point, we are going to hear a debate about who the greatest NBA player of all time is. You don't hear that debate in the NFL because the answer is so clearly obvious. You can't argue against it. You can argue who the second greatest quarterback of all time is, but the GOAT is Tom Brady. The reason I bring up Tom Brady being the greatest is because this isn't the first time that Bruce Arians has been critical of Tom Brady this year. He criticized him after the Bucs' Week 1 loss in New Orleans. Criticized him again after their loss to the Saints a couple of weeks ago. Bruce Arians criticized Tom Brady again Monday night and going into Tuesday after the Bucs lost to the Rams. He blamed Tom Brady for not being able to hit the deep ball. He said that Brady could be getting confused with the coverage, which could be leading to inaccuracy deep down the field. Okay. Starting week 8, on passes or 20 or more yards down the field, Tom Brady is 0 for 19. Monday night, he was 1 for 9 on passes 15 or more yards down the field. So with that being the case, with him clearly struggling with the deep ball, why the hell does Bruce Arians insist on continuing to throw the ball deep down the field? It doesn't make any sense. That is a coaching issue. That is a play calling issue. That is not a 43-year-old quarterback issue. Am I surprised that at 43 years old, Tom Brady is struggling to throw the deep ball? No. You know what Sean Payton did in New Orleans once he realized that Drew Brees was starting to struggle throwing the ball deep down the field? Sean Payton didn't blast him publicly. He didn't tell the media that Drew Brees was confused by the defense. He didn't question his arm strength. Sean Payton adjusted his offensive game plan. He adjusted his system to accentuate Drew Brees' strengths and eliminate the weaknesses. That's what a great coach does. I'm surprised that Tom Brady hasn't pulled rank on Bruce Arians yet and asked him, who the hell does he think he's talking about? Bruce Arians is a great offensive mind. Don't get me wrong. He's a good coach, but he has accomplished nothing in the NFL. He damn sure hasn't accomplished enough to raise his pedigree to the point where he can get away with publicly criticizing the great one. Tom Brady has won more Super Bowls than Bruce Arians has won playoff games. Hell, Bruce Arians has only coached in 3 playoff games his entire career. Tom Brady has twice as many Super Bowls. I can't recall Bill Belichick ever criticizing Tom Brady after a game publicly. Matter of fact, most of the time, Bill Belichick would put most of the blame for the Patriots losing on himself. He never blamed his players, and he damn sure never blamed his quarterback. So if the greatest coach in the history of the league doesn't do it, then what the hell does Bruce Arians, a guy who has accomplished essentially nothing, what the hell does he think gives him the right to do so publicly? I don't like it. I don't like it. It makes me wonder if something is going on in Tampa Bay between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. You look at this team on paper. They should be one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league. They have the greatest of all time under center. Before they signed Antonio Brown, they had a lethal duo at wide receiver at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Leonard Fournette in the backfield. They've got Gronk at tight end. They've got an elite defense in Tampa. Yet the Bucs are sitting at 7-4, and they've essentially lost the NFC South. The division is over. The Saints swept the season series. They essentially have a 3-game lead above Tampa with 6 games to go. I don't blame Tom Brady for the situation in Tampa. I don't blame Tom Brady. I blame Bruce Arians. There is no chemistry offensively with this team. When Tom Brady signed in Tampa, there were a lot of pundits and analysts that were worried how well he was going to gel with Bruce Arians. And it had nothing to do with the offensive system. It had everything to do with culture and coaching style. I told you guys back when Tom Brady signed with Tampa that this was going to be a lot more difficult for him than people thought, because he was coming into Tampa trying to change a decades-long culture of losing. Add that to the fact that Brady spent 20 years playing under Bill Belichick, a drill sergeant, a coach that is regimented in everything that he does. Same procedure every day. Come in early, stay late. 100-plus hour work week. Life is football. That is not Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is more the player's coach. He's looking to leave the facility directly after practice so he can get to happy hour or he can get home for dinner with his family. Football is not life for Bruce Arians. Football is a job. Bruce Arians says that one of the issues in Tampa is continuity. And I actually agree with him. I mean, there was no offseason. There are a lot of new pieces on this team offensively. Antonio Brown and Gronk have been out of the NFL for over a year. The only time that there's been any continuity in Tampa is the criticism of Tom Brady by Bruce Arians. They've been real consistent with that, which seems to happen every time that they lose, too. Look, I'm not trying to blindly defend Tom Brady here. He's been downright terrible at times this season. He was terrible both games against the Saints, terrible Monday night against the Rams. He really wasn't great against Chicago a few weeks ago. He had that play at the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter, where he thought fourth down was third down. Obviously, things are discombobulated in Tampa. But a lot of Tom Brady's struggles are also on Bruce Arians. Take week 1 against the Saints, for example. Tom Brady took heat for throwing a pick six to Janoris Jenkins early in the second half. Janoris Jenkins admitted after the game that the Saints defense actually saw that play coming. They knew Bruce Arians liked to run that play at certain points in the game. Coaching lost the game against the Bears, not Tom Brady. Tampa had the lead with under 3 minutes to go, and Byron Leftwich went on to call one of the worst schematic closeout drives that I've ever seen at the NFL level. Bruce Arians said the other night that he believes Tom Brady is getting confused with disguised coverages. One way coaches fight against that is to employ a pre-snap motion. Not Bruce Arians, though. Tampa Bay ran 67 offensive plays the other night against the Rams. You know how many times they went with a pre-snap motion? 6. That is the definition of poor coaching. You're not putting your quarterback into a situation where he can succeed. That's not poor quarterback play. Also, the same Tom Brady, who Bruce Arians claims struggles to read disguised coverages, completed 71.2% of his passes the last 4 years against it. This season, under Bruce Arians, he's completing just 58.3%. Look, Tom Brady's not blameless, but at some point, Bruce Arians has got to start pointing the finger of blame at himself and not at his legendary quarterback. Because blasting Tom Brady publicly is not doing anything to help the obvious lack of chemistry in Tampa. Bruce Arians said last year that he's never believed in sports psychology. Perhaps that's part of the damn problem right now in Tampa. Now look, I'm no Sigmund Freud. I'm no defender of the psychological community. Some of it, I think, can be downright weird at times. But what I do know, in the NFL, coaches who are smart when it comes to psychology are successful most of the time. Jimmy Johnson was a master of psychology when he was with the Cowboys. Sean Payton is a master of psychology in New Orleans. Pete Carroll, Sean McVay. These guys know how to keep their guys motivated. The question at this point, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers legitimate Super Bowl contenders? I usually don't like to make it a practice to doubt Tom Brady, to doubt the great one. But he is missing something right now in Tampa that he has had his entire career. Bill Belichick. I don't have any faith that Bruce Arians is going to be able to solve some of the issues they have right now in Tampa. All 4 losses this season have come against winning teams. Primetime games, when the lights are bright, the pressure is on, the Bucs are 1-3. I was a fan of Bruce Arians before this season, but he has lost me with the constant criticism of Tom Brady and with the way the Bucs have looked at times this season. This team has had more bad games than they've had good. And I just can't consider them Super Bowl contenders with a big question mark at head coach. The NFC is loaded with elite head coaches. Just listen to the list of coaches in the NFC right now that are in the playoffs. Sean Payton, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Doug Peterson, Pete Carroll, Cliff Kingsbury. I would take every one of those head coaches over Bruce Arians. And it's not just me. EdJ Sports is an analytics firm. They run the website Football Outsiders that comes up with the DVOA and all that. They did an evaluation over the 2019 season that analyzed every head coaching decision made over the course of the year. And they hyper-focused on plays where game-deciding decisions were made. 4th down calls, 3rd down calls in big game situations, stuff like that. Do you know where Bruce Arians ranked? 31 out of 32. Almost dead last. Zach Taylor, first-year coach with the Bengals, ranked last. Like I said earlier, Tom Brady is not blameless. What I'm saying is, there isn't only a Tom Brady problem in Tampa. Perhaps Bruce Arians should look in the mirror. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Do you agree with Bruce Arians publicly criticizing Tom Brady? What do you guys think the problem is right now in Tampa? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.